Hi, this is Opal Mitchell, or I'm Opal Mitchell, and this is the Crafting with Opal program that I do on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. Tonight I'm going to be showing you how to sew a hot pad. Let's see, look at the title, Soup Bowl Hot Pad. I've got pictures of it so I can show you what it is. Let's see, is there any other things? I work for the Central Arkansas Library System, and I work at the Nixon branch in Jacksonville. I'm trying to remember if I'm on vacation this week, so I'm kind of not in not in my normal groove of things. I originally was going to try to pre-record this program the week before when I was still working, and then just upload it tonight for you guys. But I ran into problems with that, so I've kind of halfway already started the project, but the parts that I've already done is quite simple. Mostly it's just cutting out the fabric, and cutting out is quite easy. So I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around so I can show you what we're going to be doing tonight. Well, and I need to do the little comments thing. Let's see. Make sure that, well, I don't know that this makes sure that the comments are working, but we'll see. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and switch the camera around so you can see what we're going to be making tonight. And turn this down. Okay, let's see if I can get this closer. Well, can't get it that much closer because of the legs. I will tilt it some more so you can see. That's the started project. This is a finished one. It's something that you put your bowl in. Either you could put your bowl in it before you microwave it, or you can put it in it after you've microwaved it. It'd probably be easier to put it in there before you microwave it, but just be sure if you do put this in the microwave, that the fabric you're using, the thread you're using, and the batting is all 100% cotton. You don't want any polyester or those fiber fill type things that are more or less plastic, because those would melt in the microwave. So stay with all cotton, 100% cotton on everything if you plan on putting it in the microwave. This is an example. This is a regular size bowl shape, and this is the size of the one I'm going to show you how to make tonight. This is another one I did that was like just an inch smaller all the way around, so it holds a slightly smaller bowl. You can make them different sizes. I find this to be the most common bowl sizes that I really like. You can make them for bigger bowls, but this is the one that I like, and that's the one I'm going to show you tonight. And it's pretty simple. This is one I already cut out. This is 10 by 10, and I even have the part of it already halfway sewn. But you're just going to take your fabric, and you're going to want a piece of pattern fabric, or you can do two solids. It's just up to you how you want it to look. I just kind of like the look of the pattern and the solid on mine, and you can always reverse it. It doesn't really matter. I just like having the solid on the inside. But anyway, you want at least 2 pieces of cotton fabric, and you're going to cut them out 10 inches by 10 inches, and this is my measuring thing right here. I like to use a rotary cutter with one of these to cut my fabric out, but you can always take water-soluble pen and then measure out, and then measure your 10 by 10 and then cut it out if you want to do that. It's however you want to do it. Once you get 2 pieces of fabric, like a solid and a print, or 2 solids, it doesn't matter, you also want to cut out, and this is my batting, and this is 100% cotton. I cut out a 10 by 10 of it, 2 of them, because this is also a 10 by 10. I've already assembled this one a little bit, but that's all you need for this project is 2 pieces of 100% cotton batting, and then 2 pieces of fabric that's 100% cotton. One of my dogs is in here digging around making noises, aren't you? Trying to make your bed? Well, don't get too close to Lucy, you're going to run into me. So once you get those 2 pieces, or those 4 pieces cut out, what you're going to do after you get them cut out, you're going to draw an X down the middle of both of them from corner to corner, because this is where you're going to sew. You're going to sew it all the way down both of those lines for the X there. That holds your fabric in place for whenever we start doing the cutting part. Because what we're going to be doing is this one's already been pre-done, part of it. This is one piece. Because after you do that and you sew down the middle, we're going to do some folding and cut some more pieces out and sew them in place. I'll show you how to do that. I've already done it on one of them, so this won't take quite as long since I've already done part of it. If you're afraid that your fabric is going to shift a lot on this batting when you're sewing it, you can always pin it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin mine just a little bit around the edges, just to kind of help with the shifting. The batting will hold it in place pretty good. It kind of clings to it, and if you iron your batting to your cotton, it tends to stick really well together. Whenever I was making a baby quilt, the videos that I watched on quilting said that that was a good idea to do that before you pinned your pieces together, before you started sewing the quilted pieces together. And I noticed that helped a lot. I don't need a whole lot of pins on this one. I just did it around the edges. And with my sewing machine, I've got a walking foot on it. I really highly recommend getting a walking foot for your sewing machine, because you don't use it just for quilting. It's really good for, this is more or less a quilted piece that we're going to be working on, but it's very small. But there's also like slick pieces of fabric that slides around. A walking foot helps tremendously with the fabric shifting around on you if you use it. I was trying to fix a shirt for my brother-in-law, and it was just, I don't know, it was just a collared shirt, one that he had gotten from work, and the sleeves had come in unraveled. I'm going to move over to the sewing machine so I could show you the walking foot if you're not familiar with it. And I went to fix the sleeve for him, and I noticed that the material was quite slick and it moved around a lot on me whenever I was trying to sew it. And whenever I went and attached my walking foot to it, I've already got it already set up here. I'm going to kind of tilt this so you can kind of see it from the side. But that's what a walking foot looks like, and it's really great because what it does is you've already got your feed dogs down here that pulls your fabric back. This foot also grabs and moves your fabric to the back, so that way the top piece of your fabric and the bottom piece of your fabric is both being more or less walked backwards together, so you don't have as likelihood of the shifting that can occur. I'm going to try to make this a little more easier to see. Alright, and so that's why I really think it's a good idea to get one if you can. You don't have to spend a lot of money on one. I think I bought some for the library for our sewing classes that we have there, and I think I got them for about $10 a piece, which is not bad. There's some, let's see, I don't want to, some that are $20 or more. And if you want to be careful, make sure you get a good one. I've noticed some, that are around 20. If you're only buying one, then that's not a huge deal, and you're probably going to get a really good one. I'd make sure it was a good brand. I know Singer makes their own for their machines, but they do have universal ones. Brother has some for their machines. That's what I have. Mine came with my brother's sewing machine. But they are very handy to have. So I'm going to walk this forward one, and then I'm just going to back it up a couple of stitches. I didn't want to go all the way to the very tip because it could have got up underneath it and shifted on me. I didn't want it to do that. So I'm just sewing down my line that I drew. Now I'm going to back it up a couple of stitches, and then I'm going to sew off the end. Okay, and now I'm just going to sew the other, sew down the other line that I have here. Okay. I'm only going to back up a couple of stitches. I don't want to get to the very end, because then I might get my, make sure that it didn't get wrinkled on me. And I should have double checked to make sure my settings were set good, which it looks like they are. I was making something earlier that was kind of a quilted material, so. But it's always a good idea to practice with some scrap fabric to make sure that all of your settings are set correctly before you put your project in. So you don't want to get started and it not sew correctly. Because when you're working with stuff that's different thicknesses, you may have to adjust your tension. And with this one, you probably would have had to adjust your tension because this one's thicker than most projects you would be working on. Alright, so I'm going to move it over here. And right now I'm just going to grab my corners here and get the little strings that I have. Just cut those out of the way, and I don't need the needles that I have in here, so I'm going to take those out, because the next part we're going to be doing is making some marks to sew it, kind of pinch the corners so it will turn inwards. So I'm just getting my pins out real quickly here, and then I'm going to switch over back over here to the table. I'm going to have to raise this up some. But I'm going to keep it kind of close because I want to make sure. This is the part we're going to be doing next, is folding and sewing these little corners. But I want you to see how to do this part. So I'm going to try to keep this as close as possible to what I'm doing so you can see it. Okay. All right. Let me move a few things out of the way to make this a little bit easier. Alright, and I'm going to double check you always want to double check your pattern to make sure you're following everything correctly. Alright, so the next part that you're going to be doing is we're going to be folding this in half. And you want to do it exactly in half, and you want to make sure that your fabric is going to be laying. If it's not laying real good for you, it's a good idea to iron it. But I'm going to see, the last time I did this, it did a weird kind of, I'm going to do a little bit of ironing to it first, because you don't want it to get some extra folds in there that you don't want. Here. Probably going to have to move my camera because I don't think I have enough room for my ironing board to be up here. So we'll raise that some more. Because the other piece that I did, it got folds in it on the inside. So when I was marking it, it got some extra folds that it didn't need to have in it, and I had to undo it and redo it because of that. So you want to make sure that your fabric is going to not bunch up on you or do weird things while you do this part. Alright, so I'm going to try folding this in half again, and this is what I'm talking about. See how the fabric is doing that number right there? You want it to lay flat. So I'm going to see if my hand can help smooth that out, because that is going to cause a problem, a definite problem here. I don't want any of those extra folds. I don't know why it didn't do this to me before. It might have, my fabric might have not done a good job of laying flat whenever I did my X. Let's see. I do not like the way it's doing that. Let's see if this will help, because we're going to have to do it on both directions, and I do not want to have a problem with that. It's still really, really hot. Let's see. I wonder if I iron it from this side, if that'll help. Let's try this. Never had this issue before, so this, and I've done several of these, and that's gonna, that automatically caused a, so I definitely don't want to do that. I'll try ironing it from the other side. I did wash my fabric ahead of time, so I wonder if I do this direction first, if I'll have less problems. Oh yeah, the other direction is laying flat for me. Okay, this is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to lay perfectly flat on the inside whenever you do that. I'm going to try this. Actually, I want to do the hard side first, because I don't want, I think once I got it folded the other direction, it's going to be even harder. I'm thinking whenever I did my sewing, I didn't have a good stretch on my material, so it's trying to bunch up on me. Let's see. Oh, I know it. Everyone's like, why is this so hard? It shouldn't be this hard. Let's see. There we go. Yay, that worked. That brought me the straightness that I needed. This is just a wooden dowel that I use for popping out corners in things that I make. Okay, so you do want your fabric nice and flat like that. Alright, trust me, this is not supposed to, this part is not supposed to be this hard. Okay, so I'm getting my water-soluble marker. I've got this folded in half, and this is my crease on this side. And what you want to do, and I'm going to show it closer, so we're going to be doing the corners here. Okay, so this is my fold. I'm going to kind of show you. So this is where my fold is at. I'm trying to center this, and this is the batting side. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to measure, this is the fold again, you want to measure 1 inch from the fold up here, so that's an inch from here to here, and then you want 2 inches from on the folded side down to here. Okay, we're marking this because we're going to draw a line straight across, if you'll see. So this is my fold. That's 1 inch over, and then it's 2 inches down, and it's on the fold. See, if I open up my fabric, this is the fold. Alright, so what you're going to do is you're going to line up those 2 dots, and you're going to mark it with your marker. And I'm going to get some pins, because what we're going to do is after we mark this, I'm going to mark this corner and then the other corner. We're going to sew down that line. So I'm just going to pin on either side, or on both sides of this line that I've drawn, because I'm going to sew down this line here. So I'm going to turn this over. This is still my fold, but I'm turning it this direction, and I'm trying to make sure that my fabric is still laying flat. And I used this little dowel earlier to kind of straighten my fabric out to make sure that it's nice and flat. Okay, so I'm still a little paranoid that it's not laying flat. It feels like it's bunching up. I do not want it to bunch up there, because that will mess things up if it does that. So you can kind of feel when your fabric is laying flat. Okay, so on this corner, I'm going to do the same thing I did on the other corner. And this is the fold corner here. Ooh, this is not enough room to do this. Alright, let's move. Let me get a smaller thing to measure with, since that is being so ornery. Okay, here's one that's smaller, and it's the same measurements that I was doing last time. Okay, so from the top edge, which is not the folded, this is not the folded edge, this is the straight edge. This is my folded edge. You are going to mark 1 inch over from the fold, and then you're going to, on the fold, mark 2 inches from the top there. So you're going to, so this is 2 inches from the top, and this is 1 inch over from the fold. And this is my fold right here. So you're going to draw a line across, and then we're going to pin it into place. And it feels like my fabric's staying where it's supposed to. Okay, so this is our full piece, and I'm going to back it up just a little bit so you can see. I'm going to open it up so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. See, this is my 10-inch piece, and this is where I folded it. I've marked it 1 inch from this to the top, and then 2 inches down, and I connected it with a line. That's where I'm going to sew. I did it also to the bottom. I measured 1 inch over, and then 2 inches on the fold, and then connected the dots and drew another line. So those are the lines we're going to be sewing on. I know I'm repeating this over and over again, but the reason why is when I taught this in the program that I did at the library, that seemed to be a sticking point for a lot of people that had trouble wrapping their head around that part. So I just really want to make that easy to understand. Okay, so now I'm just going to move back over here and sew those down, and we're going to turn around and do that a second time to the same piece. It seems kind of weird that you're going to have to repeat it, but it's because we're doing it to all corners, and that's why we're having to repeat it. It's actually a really simple project, and an easy one. And I've actually seen people selling this particular project at the craft programs, or not craft programs, but little festivals, the crafting festivals that people have booths. And it's seems like a pretty popular project, actually. Let's see. And I still have my walking foot on here. And I'm going to sew starting from the folded corner instead of the open corner, just because I feel like that make it a little bit easier. So, and I'm going to do some backing up, so I'm going to start it up like a little piece in front of where my end is at, and I'm going to back it up. Oops, sorry. I'm going to have to move that needle out of the way. I'm trying to watch my finger. I'm going to back it up. Okay. Got lots of fuzzies flying around here. Take that out. And if anyone's making any comments, I apologize. The comments are not showing up again. I'm getting very frustrated with Facebook not showing any comments during my programs. I just feel like they never work anymore. Let's see what's going on with my thread here. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to do my other corner, which might be a little awkward to do it. Well, I'm going to do it this way, because I like doing it from the folded corner. You don't have to do it this way. I just prefer it myself. Try to get that straight. Alright. And hey Terry, I noticed you were watching at some point. Maybe you could try making a comment to see if it would show up on here. That would be awesome if it would, but because I really don't know. I don't know until the end of my programs if anyone made any comments, because I'll go back and look at the program afterwards and it will show it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you real quick. I like to look at the directions to make sure I'm doing everything right. So now I have sewn that little corner to make the fold, and I'm going to take some scissors and I'm going to cut and leave a 1/4 of an inch little seam there on both sides. Let's see here. Okay. Alright, so we've done one part of it, and I'm going to open up the inside because I was so paranoid to see how my fabric was still trying to do some weird folding things on me. But it looks like it didn't do anything major, like I didn't want it to. So these seem fine, because you want a nice straight seam on these, and no extra folding of the fabric in it. Since I worked with a lot, it didn't do that. Okay, so now we're going to do the other end. So we're going to be folding this direction now, which is going to be kind of awkward because we've already done these two corners. But you want to fold it in half, so line up all your corners together where I know it's going to be a little weird because of that, but as long as you've gotten it folded down there, I'm going to show you. I'm not going to move back over to the table because there's plenty of room over here to do the same thing that I did earlier. So this is my folded side, and this is my open. So we're going to do the same thing we did over there. Let me move this where there's an inch, and that's going to go rolling. Okay, so this is my folded edge, so an inch over I'm going to make a dot, and then on the folded side here I'm going to measure 2 inches down and make a dot. So this is the folded side, and this is 2 inches down, and that's 1 inch across, and this is the open part. And then I'm going to have to lay this down to do this, to draw the line. I'll tilt this. I think I just wrote on my shirt, but that's okay. It'll come out. All right, so I'm just going to connect those two dots that I made by drawing a line. So then that's still my folded area, and that's 2 inches down and 1 inch across. And I'm just going to pin it in place and keep it from shifting on me. Actually, I'm going to go from this direction because that's the direction I'm going to put it in the sewing machine. Okay, so that's that corner. So I'm going to flip to the other corner. This is still my folded edge on this side. This is my open. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to measure 1 inch across the top and 2 inches down. So that's 1 inch across and 2 inches down, and this is the fold. And I'm going to connect the dots and draw my line. Alright. That's all I need to do on that. And I'm going to pin it. On both sides of my line. Okay. So now we're going to sew these 2 corners, because we already did these corners. So I'm going to sew these corners down, and then we're going to put this piece together with the other piece, because there's 2 of them. Let me show you real quick. Once we do these 2 corners, it's going to look like this piece right here. That's like this. See, if you fold this down, let's see. You can see, let's see. It's so hard to show you. Okay. That's how it's going to look when we get done. Because see, this is the piece that I already did. You just sew the pieces down and you cut your little corners off, and you do it in both directions. So you're going to be doing 2 different pieces just like this. So you're going to repeat the process twice. So that I already have that one done, and so I'm only showing you how to do it one time. Okay. So I'm going to take this over here and sew down these corners. Okay, there's that corner. And I'm going to take those 2 pins out and cut my threads real quick. Get that out of the way. And then I'm going to sew my other corner. Just lining that up. Alright, so we got both corners. Alright, so I'll take it back over here and take my pins out and cut my excess thread off. Okay, so now that we got those corners sewn, now we're going to cut off the corners and have just like a 1/4 of an inch seam. Alright. So now we have 2 pieces that look exactly the same when you open it up. Let's see. I'll back up just a little bit. Okay, so now we got 2 pieces that look like this, and they look a lot like the bowls, the finished ones that I showed you earlier. So I've got 2 pieces. They both have batting on them, and they both have fabric on the one side of them. Now what we're going to do is we're going to have our right sides facing each other, and I really don't think it makes a, I'll see how they did it, but I don't think it really makes a difference. Not really, because you're going to be turning them right side out. How do I want mine to look? It really doesn't matter. As long as both fabrics are going to be facing each other. I'm just going to do this one this way. So you're going to turn one out like this, and then you're going to sit it on top of the other one, and you want to line all your seams up and pin them in place, but you're going to want to leave when you're going to be sewing around the edges of it, but you're going to have to leave an opening. And what I like to do is leave an opening on an edge that's not a seam, because those are a little bit easier to turn right side out. And whenever you go to sew it closed, it works a lot better. So you want to keep your fabric nice and straight. I'm going to pin all of my seamed areas first to make sure that they are all lined up. And then and all my little corners too. You want the points to be lined up. And the seams to be lined up. May have to do a little bit of shifting to make sure. But I like to make sure that those are lined up really well. Try not to pin myself here. Okay. Oh, I have a puppy dog coming to visit me. She's trying to get in my lap right now. Well, Zoe, I'm sorry. I'm working right now. So let's get all these seams lined up. Try not to pin myself. Let's see here. Oof. Keep pinning myself. Okay. Alright, so I've went around and got all of them. Now, I'm going to get some different types of pins here that are different colors that stand out. I've got these brightly colored ones. I want an area that's going to mark, a really good area that's going to mark my starting and stopping point. So I want to start and stop. To turn it in, I want to leave my hole right here. Try to leave as big of a hole as possible on turning it right side out. I'm going to try to give it a little more room because I don't want to be right on a seam. Okay, I think that'll be pretty good. It's not right on a seam and it's not right on a corner, because you want to finish your corner first before you stop sewing. So just the rest of the way around here, I'm going to try to pull my stuff flat and pin it at least in the middle all the way around. Let's see here. My little dog Zoe is keep trying to bug me. And I just said her name, so now she's fussing again at me. Wanting me to pick her up. Okay. Alright, so I'm just getting that pinned really good. And then I think this is my last side. Make sure that's nice and tight. Okay, so I got it pinned all the way around. And then I have these different types of pins here indicating where I'm going to start and stop my sewing, because I'll need to leave a hole. Let me move that out of the way. Move these things out of the way. Alright, move, puppy dog. You're in the way. I gotta move over here. You want up here? Well, come here. I'll let you up. Yep. As long as you don't get near my iron, you're okay. Alright, so I'm going to start sewing this, and we're going to sew it all the way around the edges. And I'm going to take this part off of my machine too, because it gives a little more room underneath your sewing machine. When you're doing things that are that kind of are circular and go end up going around your machine, then that's very handy to take that part off so the project can kind of go around. Alright, so I'm going to start here. I'll take my pin out. Alright, and so you definitely want to make sure that all your seams are lined up, and I'm pretty certain that one. Those are going to be the hardest parts to sew over also. I'm going to start with it in. Oh goody, my thread came loose. So I'm going to rethread my machine real quick, except it kind of did something funky. Come on. Come loose. There we go. The tension. It got kind of stuck in the tension disc. Alright. And the only bad thing about it coming undone now, because mine has a thing that will thread my machine, but it won't do it with a walking foot on here, so I'm going to have to do it myself. Come on. It's a lot less room to get that in there when you have a walking foot. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to raise this again so I can get my thread underneath there. I'm going to pull it out a ways so maybe it won't come undone next time. Okay, so now I'm going to start with it in there, and I'm going to take this first pin out, and I'm going to try to flatten this out to the best I can, and I'm going to back up. So, flatten it out the best you can, and when you get to your corner, you're going to do some shifting where you can stay straight. And I'm going to move that pin out of the way. I'm going to take that pin out. And you want to go to your corner, and then you're going to turn it. Always have your needle in the fabric when you turn it. It keeps your place. Otherwise your fabric would shift on you, and that would not be fun. I'm going to get that one out of the way, and I'm going to go all the way to the corner here where this seam is at. I'm walking it forward slowly just to make sure I get it right in the seam area before I turn it. And then I'm going to turn it and go this direction. Okay. Alright, we're just going all the way around here. And I want to make sure I get it right in the corner here. And then turn it again. I think some of my pins were trying to get stuck onto my little mat I have underneath my sewing machine. Alright, get that one out of the way. We're going to try to flatten that out a little bit, and I'm going to move my pin. Never want to sew over your pins, because if you hit a pin with your sewing machine needle, it'll either dull your needle or it'll break it. And you don't want either one. Huh. Something popped up on my screen for a split second, and then it went away. I don't know what it was. I wonder if that's close enough to my corner. There we go. It's a little bit closer. Ooh. Maybe closer than I really wanted to be. Alright, we're getting close. Oh wait. Huh. Something else popped up on my screen. Again. Huh. That's weird. I don't know if I'm losing connection or what, like, what it's trying to tell me. Alright, I'm getting to the end here. And this is where my other pin is. So we're going to finish up here in just a second. Okay. So I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm just going to sew a little bit down this corner. I want to leave a big enough opening to turn it right side out. Okay, so I did some backing up. Alright, so now we're done with this part. And I'm going to move over here where my puppy dog is. She's been hanging out with me. And I'm going to cut my excess threads, and then we're going to turn it right side out. Alright, so here's my opening. So we're going to turn everything around. So be very, very gentle with doing that so you won't mess up your seams. I don't want to pop out my seams any because I didn't leave a very big opening. And this is pretty bulky to be turning right side out. Oh, you're gonna help me, Zoe? Yeah. Maybe you want down in the floor again instead of up here with me? No, you want me to pet you is what you want. She's pawing at me. Alright, so we're gonna get it turned all the way out. And then I'm going to get that little point turner that I had earlier, this little stick, and I'm going to push out all my corners that I can't get with my fingers. Which this one is going to be kind of hard because it's right here where my last corner that I did. Oh. Yeah, it's going to be kind of bulky there.